Now, Skunky9 brings up a really good question. Talking about everybody's got a great name on the internet. Talking about the Dash for Cash program, this weekend, really the wild card is the two-car scenarios. And he wants to know, how much time do you spend trying to find a partner and practicing pushing and being pushed and making the exchange while you guys are out on the track during practice?
Me and Reed were just talking about it, and normally you come down to Daytona and you don't really practice a whole heck of a lot. You don't make changes to your car. Like you were saying, it's all about the exchange and getting locked up as quick as you can, and that's just something that you kind of just do, and it just kind of comes to you. I think you don't practice it a ton. We'll probably practice the first practice and probably be done that second practice.
Where we're doing our show from today is actually the drivers' meeting room that these guys will be in on Friday night and the Sprint Cup guys on Saturday night. And you walk around the room and there's just pictures galore. It's really the history of Daytona, whether it be Neil Bonnet, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Jeff Bodine winning the 500. When you look at this place and what it means when you just say Daytona, what would it mean to you guys to take home and add a trophy to your mom's trophy case until you build your own? But what would it mean to score a win here and have that on your racing resume, because it is Daytona?
It's Daytona. I mean, everybody wants to win here. I got the good fortune of winning a race at Talladega on a restricted plate race, and it means a lot to me. But at the same time, this is the one racetrack that you just every year, you can go to 100 races a year, and you come to Daytona, and you always still, it was cool to check off a super speedway victory, but you still want the Daytona win. And I mean, looking at the pictures in the wall, I mean, there's very few people that have been fortunate enough to do that. And I mean, you look at a guy like Dale Earnhardt. He tried his entire career to be able to win here, and unfortunately, it's the place that ended up taking his life. But this was like the one place that he wanted to win, and I think it proves how important a race like this one is. I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, this is if you take a trophy home from here, it means a lot. I think just for NASCAR in general, and it'd be great to have that a feather in your cap. But it's a lot different than it used to be. When they paved it, this track changed a lot. Now it's way more like Talladega, where you used to come here, especially in July, and your car had to handle good, and if it didn't, you weren't going to finish good. And so now that they paved the track, it's smooth as glass, and you don't have any handling issues at all. It's really changed the way you approach this race and this racetrack. And, pretty much there's, 40 cars that have a shot to win the race now, where before, the good cars were separated from the bad ones. So it's a lot more cars that can win now.
I think, when I think about Daytona, it's, NASCAR guys aren't the only ones that want to win here. You got all other sorts of motorsports guys that want to win here, whether it be motocross, the Grand Am Series. Everybody wants to win at Daytona, and I think if you go anywhere in the world, people know, Daytona, USA. And so if you can bring a home trophy from here, it'd mean a lot.
And Reed, you mentioned you have to change your approach. How? Is it more of a thinking man's race where you now really have to plan out moves, and especially with the two-car deal that you've got to plan out so much more now than you did before?
Yeah, there's the way it used to be is if your car was good, especially on old tires, you didn't necessarily need help from anybody. And if you could keep it wide open after 7 or 8 laps, then you were going to run good. And now you have to have somebody. And like for us, we have 4 cars in the race. We would prefer to work with each other the whole race. But the way it lines up sometimes, I mean, like when we were here in February, him and I worked together for probably 30 laps or something. And it's just the way it worked out. We happened to be near each other on a restart. And you got to be hooked up with someone with this 2-car deal, and you got to get stuck together as soon as you can and then go. Otherwise, the guys that do get stuck up early will leave you. So it's just different. And your spotter works really hard up there on the spotter stand running around. Because one lap I'll be next to him, and 20 laps later I'll be trying to work with him, and it just changes up for everybody. And you gotta be very open-minded, I think, on who you work with and what your plan of attack is.
All right, William Richard has a question for all three. One, are you guys big gamers, and if so, what is the most realistic NASCAR game out there?
I'm not a huge gamer, but I mean, I would guess iRacing. I've played
Yeah.
it before, and it's pretty realistic.
Although
The
the-
times I've played it.
The only problem with iRacing is it doesn't take as long to get going. You know, it seems like it always really easy to spin out whenever you take off. That's probably the only thing that is not real. I mean, all the racetracks are as real as they can probably get. I'm the same way that like gaming probably screws me up more than it does by helping me because
Because you can always hit that reset button.
you're
if you
really
crash.
brave. You're really brave when it comes to games, and when you get out there in real life, it's not always as easy.
Tawandra May, this one's for Reed, but really for you two. If you go back to Road America in the last lap and a half, she wants to know what it felt like for you to win a road course race. But what did it feel like for you losing it like you did and then your teammate winning it?
Well, I guess if we were going to have the bad fortune and not win it, I'm glad that somebody from our team won it, and glad that Reed got his first victory this season. It was an eventful race, and I know for me it was pretty disheartening, but I think the whole 32 team really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, it was wild towards the end, and we had 3 green white checkers, and the one I don't know if it was the first or second. I knew the 22 of Jock started on the inside, and I knew he was going to do something. I knew before the race if he wasn't.
And he
leading,
didn't let
was
you
gonna do
down.
something. He did not. And he went through the grass and took out a few cars. We were able to miss that, and by the last green white checkered, Justin and I were up front, and I think he felt comfortable me being behind him, knowing that I wasn't going to go do anything crazy, and Elliot Seiler was behind me, which I felt pretty good about because we're all three of those cars were running for points, and Justin and I were able to pull away from third on back about a pretty good gap, and Justin was far enough ahead of me where unless he messed up bad, I wasn't going to catch him, and we took the white flag, and then the caution came out, and I was like, well, that's cool. Justin wins the race. We finished second. I was like, this is a pretty good day for us, and probably something that neither one of us expected, to finish first and second. And I get up to the top of the hill, and I see he ran out of gas. So, I go around him, and I was like, well, if we make it back, we're going to win. And, we had, enough gas to make it back, and it's pretty cool to win on a road course, and especially for me, I haven't been on one in a couple of years, and really had a good time the whole race, and enjoyed racing there and had a lot of fun.
All right, this one is for Ricky from Pokey Chuck. If you win the championship, are you going to swing by Olive Branch for a visit with the fans and have a big party?
Definitely will. I got a lot of family and friends that still live there, and we'll definitely make it back to Olive Branch for sure.
When you look at your all's racing background, can you think of you talk about exciting finishes, but exciting moments that were a little scary. And I think of your open wheel crash at Eldora, which is on YouTube, which you watch it over and over, and you're just like, holy mackerel. I mean,
Did you get hurt?
You think was that probably the wildest ride for you?
Yeah. It was probably one of the hardest crashes I've ever had.
Is that the major crash?
Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't get hurt. I definitely had a concussion and kind of couldn't see for 10 minutes. But other than that, everything was good. But laying there for a while, not being able to see, you kind of wonder if you
Like
were
see
ever
it
going
all?
to see again. Yeah.
Hey,
You couldn't see anything?
he says he didn't get hurt, but he shows up at the racetrack in New Jersey, and his eyes are black.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
You couldn't see anything?
No, it was like you shut your eyes for like 10 minutes.
I consider that a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
but I mean, once it was all said and done, we were all good. So that was probably the toughest one I've ever had.
I don't have a story like that. I've been pretty lucky. I've wrecked hard, but I've been able to see after all.
See, that kind of puts it all in perspective. I don't have the Ricky Stenhouse level of crashing. What about yourself, Justin?
the only thing I've ever done is broke my arm, and it really wasn't that hard of a crash. So, I flipped my butt off in a midget a few times, and they're not.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy to do. It's. I think that's why Ricky says I wasn't really hurt, because you're so used to just crashing and getting out, and you got a headache and probably concussion, and yeah.
So this one is from TNF 752, and this one's for Justin. And so I guess he let you two off the hook on this question because he wants to know how hard it is to balance married life and racing life.
I think we let ourselves off that.
I think you guys you're out on that one. Honestly, for me, it's been really easy. My wife is she's a race fan, number one. I mean, her dad.
Is she watching right now?
I don't know if she's watching or not, but she.
Make sure you answer right.
Yeah, she grew up. Her dad worked on race cars at a local racetrack there, and you know, she's been around racing her entire life, so she enjoys it. She gets to come with me, which is great. And you know, I think for me, sometimes it's a lot easier for me. I feel really bad for a lot of the crew guys. I know a lot of them are married and have children, and you know, unfortunately, sometimes we choose a life for ourselves, and other people kind of get drug into it. So I'm just fortunate enough my wife gets to come with me, and she enjoys racing, because if not, it would be pretty tough. But you know, we do a lot of stuff outside the racetrack as well together, and you know, we have our own personal life, and then we have, you know, being able to go to the racetrack. So it's a good balance, and I know both of us probably, there's days that we would rather not travel, but then we sit at home for a couple of days and we're both ready to go to the racetrack again. So.
All right, next question is, what's the best advice that you would give a youngster who wants to get involved in racing? Because I mean, you guys, you know, all started out when you were young. I remember you were talking about Tony Stewart gave you some great advice one time. But what's the best advice you'd want to give some youngster now?
Go to school for marketing.
Yeah.
That's probably the best answer. But honestly, the advice Tony Stewart gave me was he said, whatever level you race at, win races. And if you're winning races, you're going to get noticed, and you're going to hopefully get a shot to go to the next level. And it doesn't matter if it's racing lawnmowers on a Wednesday night, or if it's, you know, racing the ARCA series or late models or Legends cars or whatever you're racing. I mean, you ran really good in the Legends cars. I know. I remember you ran really good in quarter midgets, and I think that's probably the best answer, is just win races.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what stands out is I think when I got about 11 or 12 is when, you know, you have to quit pretty much every other sport and put 7 days a week into racing, and your family does too. I think that's a big thing that's different from a lot of other sports, is you got to have support to make it in racing, and that's probably I don't know if that's advice as much as it is maybe fact.
Because even if you're 11 or 12, you've got to have 100% dedication.
Right.
To that, to try to make it to the next level.
Right, and if you don't, then you're probably not going to win races, and you're probably not going to have a chance. So I would say, you know, you really do have to commit and, you know, spend pretty much all of your time on racing.
To touch on Justin's point, the advice he got from Tony, winning races at every level or whatever level you're at. I mean, that's kind of how I got to Roush Fenway. I'd won a race in 2007. And I'd met with the general managers at Roush Fenway Racing, and they just told me to win races. And so we went and did that in 2007, and then that kind of gave me the opportunity to come over here and run stock cars. But you know, Reed's also got another good point, is you got to put hard work into it. That's something that my dad taught me. It's not going to be given to you. You got to work, you know, each and every day at it. I quit every single sport I ever played, and you know, did nothing but race. And I think that both of those are really what you got to do.